Okay, boys and girls, we are going to do our new words that we have for our new story called the U.S. Constitution. Now, this is informational text. So there is vocabulary that is very specific to the story that we are reading, right, Isabella? So we have to know the words that we are going to be encountering in this story. So as always, boys and girls, we have our vocab sheet. The word is there, so we're going to have to write down our definition. And then we'll draw a picture when we're all done. So I will give you time to do that. So our first word, boys and girls, is the word convention. A convention. A convention, that word is a noun. A convention is a meeting of people who share the same purposes or ideas. And here is our sentence. Sophia and her family went to the convention to view the exhibits and to listen to the speakers. Convention. I get to go to conventions and hear speakers about education. As a matter of fact, I went to a convention put on by Scholastic, and I heard Dave Pilkey speak. Do you know who Dave Pilkey is?
Yeah. No.
Who knows who Dave Pilkey is? Who's Dave Pilkey?
He invented Dogman and Captain Underpants.
Yes, he's the author who wrote Dogman and Captain Underpants. Who's read Dogman and Captain Underpants? Yes, he's the author of those books. So I got to hear Dave Pilkey. It was very exciting. I've also heard Kevin Hankus. Who's ever heard of Kevin Hankus? What book has he written?
He's written Chrysanthemum, Lily's Purple Plastic Purse,
Yes.
Wembley Worried.
Yes, Wembley Worried. Who's read Lily's Purple Plastic Purse? Who's read Chrysanthemum, which is probably everybody in here, because usually you read it in, I think, first grade. Yes, I've listened to him as well. So that is an author who spoke at a convention as well. So a convention is a meeting of people who share the same purpose or ideas. Can anybody use the word convention in a sentence? Yes.
My mom can go to a convention whenever she likes.
Okay. She would go to a convention of what is her job?
She's a nurse.
She would go to a nursing convention.
And a college teacher and a school nurse.
Yeah, she would go to a convention about nursing. Very good. So let's write our definition of convention. So a convention is a meeting of people who share the same purpose or ideas. Convention. Our next word is the word delegate. So a delegate or a delegate, usually we call them delegates, that's a noun. So those are people who have been chosen to make decisions for a larger group. So they represent a larger group of people. And here's our example sentence. Miss Campton is one of the delegates that represents the teachers from our school. So instead of, like if you were going to maybe a convention instead of a whole group of people going, you may choose a few people to go and represent your group. So she's a delegate. So delegates from each state go to the Democratic or Republican convention when they choose who is going to represent, who is going to run for president, who's going to be the final presidential candidate. That's how they decide who it's going to be. The delegates help pick that person, okay, because they represent the voters from that state. Delegates. Can anybody use delegate in a sentence for me? What do you think? A delegate. That's kind of a hard concept, isn't it? Allie?
The principal is a delegate.
She could be a delegate, the principal, because she could go represent us someplace.
Because she's like the boss of us or the head.
So she could go to a convention and she could act as a delegate
For our school.
for our school at something. So she would represent us, delegate. So a delegate are people who have been chosen, people, you're gonna have to write small because this is a long one. People who have been chosen to make decisions for a larger group of people. Can you see that, everyone? Okay, now we have the word domestic. Domestic. Domestic is an adjective. Everybody say domestic.
Domestic.
So when something is domestic, it is part of or about the country in which you live. So here's an example of that. Here's our example sentence. The 4th of July is a domestic holiday that celebrates the United States of America. So boys and girls, that means domestic has to do with our country as opposed to something that would be more international, that would have to do with the world instead. So domestic things have to do with our country as opposed to something that is more worldwide. So the United States has domestic policies that affect our everyday life. Domestic policies. So domestic. So we have, what is the domestic holiday that July 4th celebrates? What's the domestic holiday that July 4th celebrates? Sophia?
Constitution being signed.
Our independence, right, our independence from Britain. So do you think they celebrate that holiday in Britain? No. Do you think they celebrate that holiday in Spain? No. Because that's only a holiday that's specific to here. That's our holiday. Do you think they celebrate Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving in Mexico?
No.
No. That's a domestic holiday. That's a United States holiday. Do you think they celebrate Martin Luther King Day in Poland?
No.
No. That's a domestic holiday because that is a holiday that just has to do with us. Domestic. So domestic, part of or about the country in which you live. Okay, who is still, looking at the same pencils are still moving, so we'll wait just another minute or so for people to finish writing. Are people done writing? Can I do it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
now. I'm gonna move to a page that doesn't have it. Okay, now we have the word welfare. Welfare is a noun, and if someone looks out for your welfare, that person makes sure you are healthy and happy. They're looking out to see if you're happy and healthy. Jen enjoys looking out for the welfare of her mother. So I am interested in the welfare of each and every student in my classroom. That is my job, to make sure that you are healthy, happy, and learning what you should be learning. That's what I'm interested in, boys and girls. Does anybody have a sentence for welfare? Yes, Nina.
The doctor's welfare you.
The what?
Like maybe the doctor's
Can you use welfare in that sentence?
the doctor's welfare you.
Well, the doctor is interested in your welfare, right? Yeah, the doctor is interested in your welfare. Sophia?
My mom is welfare for my grandma.
Well, you don't say my mom is welfare for my grandmother.
My mom.
Looks out for your grandma's welfare? Yes, that would be a good sentence. My mom looks out for my grandma's welfare. That's what you would say. Because it's a noun. Welfare is a noun. So you have to watch out how you use that. Yes.
I'm interested in my brother. I have interest in my brother's welfare.
Yes, I have interest in my brother's welfare. Very good. You do. Okay, so we're going to say welfare means healthy and happy. Healthy and happy. Okay, now our last word is the word posterity. Everybody say posterity.
Posterity.
Posterity is a noun, boys and girls, and posterity is if you think ahead to all the people who will be alive in the future. You are thinking about posterity. So you're thinking about the people who are coming after you. The people in the future who will be alive after you. You're thinking about posterity. So we will have a family portrait that we will keep for posterity. So if you keep a family album, you are keeping that for posterity, for the people who come after you, so they could look in it and they could see pictures of your family. And they could say, oh, that was my great-grandma Leah, for posterity. That was my great-great-grandpa Beckett, for posterity. That's what you do. Yes, Nina.
Your children will be posterity.
Yes, and their children, and their children. So when we have things like in museums, we are keeping them for the future, for future generations, so they could see those things. So boys and girls, we have to be aware of the importance of things that would be historically important for those who are coming after us. Because obviously we're living in the moment, correct, boys and girls? But when you're living in the moment, there will be things that are of historical importance for people after us. So there are people who work in museums, correct? And there are people who are historians. So they're deciding, well, what is history? What's important in history? So they are cataloging and keeping things for posterity. So future generations will be able to see what was important to us, what we saved. And so they will be saving things so people can see those things. They're thinking about posterity. The things that are important to us, they want to save those so people can see them. Like if you go to a museum, you can see all sorts of things from the past, right, boys and girls? Yes. So those were things that were important to people from a long time ago, and they still have them because they took care of those things. And so we get to see them, and so we do the same thing so people can see those important items. Yes.
I should probably talk about this in religion, but in the Stations of the Cross, I don't remember who it was. I don't remember, but someone wiped the face of Jesus, and I think Mrs. Schoen said that it's in the museum somewhere.
Oh, Veronica, yes.
Yes,
Veronica's veil. Yes.
I think Aviana was Veronica.
Oh, maybe. I don't remember. Yes. So posterity. So posterity is people who will be alive in the future.
We give sentences.
People who will be alive in the future. Boys and girls, this time we had a lot of different words, didn't we? Usually we have a lot of words we've heard before. This time I'm going to say we had a lot of words that were new to us. Yes.
So I don't know what year it was, but some Chinese people from Europe and China brought over things for Jerusalem, and some of them were fake, like Veronica's veil. So that veil that Mrs. Show was talking about to us, but
Yeah, say that again.
so I don't know what year it was, but a bunch of people from Europe brought things from Jerusalem to the U.S. so they could show it to the museum, and a lot of those things were fake.
Oh yeah, sometimes there are fake things. Yeah.
So that's Veronica's veil that Mrs. Show was talking to us about might be a fake.
It could be.
Because my dad told me that.
It could be a fake. Yes, it could be fake. But some people from China, I mean, there are things from China that are like 1,000 years old. So those would be things for posterity. So boys and girls, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to give you a few minutes to draw your pictures.